Hello and welcome to oliveboard platform and very good afternoon to all of you. Hi, good afternoon everyone. I hope so I'm audible properly. Am I? Please let me know in the comment section. The audio and video is perfectly okay and is there's no glitch, no issue. Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon guys. Good afternoon everyone. Please join. Okay. So let's begin this session with a very first topic and the fresh start of economics part. And your topic and chapter name is Introduction to Banking. Before jumping in the before jumping in the introduction of banking, let me tell you the whole syllabus of economics so that we'll have some idea how to cover the whole syllabus of the economics, especially, right? Okay. And also, if you are watching this session in a recorded format, definitely you can put all your doubt in a doubt window. Either me or my teacher assistant will answer all your query. Okay. So, the economics plays a crucial role in your exam preparation, basically. Some topics are just forever for your question point of view. For example, especially in an economics case, start uh, start this particular chapter with a very first topic, that is introduction. Sorry. Introduction of banking. So basically in the introduction of banking, actually this is a hot topic in a banking segment, not so much important in our section. So basically if you are targeting this category, you can just have some idea regarding the introduction of banking. Which bank was the first bank? Which bank was the first Indian bank? Which bank has the what was the story of State Bank of India? What was the story of RBI? This is very important. So in a next part, you have to cover the RBI, or we can say the Reserve Bank of India, with its very important function, that is monetary policy. Okay. Once you completed the monetary policy and the RBI function, let's jump to the next topic of economics. And the next topic is inflation. What type of inflations? Basically, what are the types of inflation? What are the causes of inflation? What are the methods to measure the inflation? These are the major points in a case of inflation segment. Once you completed the inflation segment, the next part you have to cover is the national income segment. So in the national income part, what was the history of national income? Then after, who introduced the national income idea firstly in his book, or this kind of history regarding the national income? Then after, you have to cover the factors of national income and some content of how to calculate the national income on the factory prices or the market price, right? Okay. Apart from this, the very important chapter of economics you have to cover is planning in India, or you can call it as a planning commission. Okay. Including a planning commission, parallelly you have to cover the 5-year plan. Still we don't have any 5-year plan, because in 2015 we have already replaced the planning commission with a Niti Aayog, but still the questions are still hot topic in economics. So to cater those kind of questions, we have to cover the 5-year plan especially. Once you completed the 5-year plan, you have to switch or cover the budget. In a case of budget, try to cover the budget history, the budget pattern, the budget theory, and then after, the next year budget or the current year budget. So for example, as we don't have any further exam in 2024, so definitely for 2025 you have to cover either the budget 2025 or sometime the budget 2024. Okay, so these are the very hot topic, very important topics which you have to cover in a economics segment especially. Apart from this, there's a lot of miscellaneous topic are also mentioned in economics segment. Okay, so let's begin this session with the very first topic, and your first topic is introduction of banking. Now, first of all, what is bank? What is banking? So, as we already know that banks are a special institution that accomplish the seemingly simple duty of accepting deposit and checks and withdrawing of money, approving the loan. These are the major functions. These are the major tasks of bank, right? Banks are a very important organization these time to run the economy as well, to run the market structure as well, right? So what is bank? First of all, let's understand this. Bank is a financial institution licensed to receive deposits and make loans. Okay, banks may also provide financial services such as wealth management, currency exchange, safe deposit boxes. So basically a particular institution which is indulge in the deposit, in the which is indulge in the withdrawals, which is indulge in the type of accounts, ensuring or issuing of checkbook, passbook, allowing you to keep your gold in a lockers. So these are the conditions basically held in a particular institution, and that particular institution is termed as bank. Clear, everyone? Nowadays, banking sector is not only a functioning to deposit money or just lend loan. All right, it is also providing the debit card, the credit card, this the blah blah kind of cards. Okay, also providing a locker system, also providing the ATM facility, also providing the net banking or e-banking system as well. So this is a huge property. This is a huge institution which actually run the India or any country's market economy. Okay, now moving to the next part, what was the history of banking? So if we talk about the history, so let's go to the history part, that means the Vedic age. So even in a Vedic age, even in the Indus Valley civilization, we can see these kind of institution, we can have some in evidence also. Globally, the story of banking has much in common as it involved in the money laundering, accepting deposit, and issuing receipt in their place. According to the Central Bank Equity Committee 1931, money lending activity in India could be traced back to the Vedic period of 2000 to 1400 before Christ. Even in the Vedic part, they also mention the Sabha and the Samiti kind of thing in a Vedic age, right? The existence of professional banking in India could be traced in the 500 before Christ, Kautil or Arthashastra, you can see, date back to 400 before Christ, contain reference to creditor, lender and lending rates. Okay, so the Arthashastra, which is written by Kautil Chanakya, you can see, is also mentioning about the financial structure, mentioning about the institution which also provide the deposit and the withdrawal. Right now, so these are the traces, these are the history of banking system in our Vedic age. If we talk about the early phase of banking in India up to 47, see here. So first of all, there was a lot of banks which actually formed in a different kind of things. First of all, the Western variety of joint stock banking was brought to India by the English agency House of Calcutta and Bombay, now Kolkata and Mumbai. The first bank of a joint stock variety was Bank of Bombay, established in 1720. So basically, Bank of Bombay was the first joint stock bank of India, and also it was established in 1720 in Mumbai or in Bombay itself. Clear? This is your first important part, important line in a case of banking establishment. Now, after the Bank of Bombay, the Bank of Hindustan was also established in 1770. by an agency house, and hence the bank was closed down in 1832, the Bank of Hindustan, just after the Bank of Bombay. The general bank, now basically there's a because our whole system was new system, so definitely we have some successful story, we have some unsuccessful story as well. So the Bank of Hindustan was a kind of unsuccessful story, because in 1582 it was completely shut down, right? Now there's a one governor general came named Warren Hastings, right? He introduced, or he proposed, the General Bank of Bengal and Bihar, which was established in a same year, that is 1832. The General Bank of Bengal and Bihar, which came into existence in 1773 after a proposal by Warren Hastings. Okay, proved to be a short. So if we create a one timeline, no, so the timeline should be, always try to cover the history part with the timeline part or flowchart part, whatever it is comfortable to you. First is basically the first is 720 Bank of Bombay. Okay, just keep it that it was closed. Then after, in 1770, Bank of Hindustan. Then after, in 1773, we have a Bank of Bengal and Bihar. On the recommendation of Warren Hastings. So this should be your timeline for the early phase of development of banking system. Clear? Any doubts here? Now, let's talk about some Presidency Bank, which will create a history later on. So the Presidency Bank. First of all, the first Presidency Bank was the Bank of Bengal. This is a separated bank which was established as a Presidency Bank in the area Bengal, and it was established in 2nd June 1806. With how many capital? Or it was established with a paid up capital of 50 lakhs. So the main point for you, first Presidency Bank was Bank of Bengal, established in 1806 in Calcutta, and paid up capital was around 50 lakh. The government subscribed to 20% of its share capital and shared the privilege of appointing director with voting rights. The bank had that task. Leave it. Now, the second Presidency Bank, the Bank of Bombay. This was your second Presidency Bank. The Bank of Bombay, second Presidency Bank, set up in 1840. It was established in 1806. It was established in 1840. Paid up capital 52 lakh. Okay. Now, third is Bank of Madras. So, Bank of Bengal, Bombay, and Madras. BBM, you can call it. Bengal, Bombay, Madras. Okay. 1806, 1840, and just after 3 years, 1843. See here. So, Bank of Madras, this is your third Presidency Bank, as you can see. Established in July 1843. No need to learn the date, the month, but yes, need to learn the year part. Okay. So, 1806, 1840, 1843. Paid up capital 30 lakh. Even you can skip this also. Now, these three banks are exist in India, and they are termed as the Presidency Bank, as they were set up in the three presidencies that were Bombay, Madras, and Bengal. Right now, due to the administration, due to the somewhat basically these particular banks also indulge in a currencies issuing or something, the major functions which usually they follow as a banker. Now, there's a one issue for the legislation part especially. So, Presidency Actually that time the whole India was completely targeted or ruled by the Britishers, right? And the Britishers established their rule firstly in Bengal, then after they captured the Bombay region, and then after they established the Madras region. So these are the major presidency or the area which are later on which was termed as a presidency. So this is just a bank, normal bank, but as they were established in a presidency's area which was ruled by the Britishers, so we call it as a presidency bank. That's all. Okay. Now, okay, so the first formal regulation for bank was perhaps the enactment of the Companies Act in 1850. Now, after some time or after some year, when these banks face some issues regarding the funds, regarding the issuing of withdrawal or deposit kind of thing, there's a merger of these three banks can be seen. Okay, the Bank of Bengal, the Bank of Bombay, and Bank of Madras just merged together and form the Imperial Bank of India. See here, these three presidency banks, the Bank of Bombay, Bank of Madras, Bank of Bengal, which was set up in 1906, 43 and 40, were amalgamated into the Imperial Bank of India. So Bank of Bengal, Bombay, Madras. Okay, these three banks, 1806, 40, 43. These three banks merged together in the year 1921, and they when the merger happened, they call it as a Imperial Bank of India. Call it as a Imperial Bank, and for some time the Imperial Bank was considered as a apex bank. Sometime it was considered as the central bank also, right? And finally after some time, this particular Imperial Bank got renamed as the State Bank of India. So this is a whole story of this SBI or State Bank of India. Clear? Any doubts regarding this? Huh? Please let me know in the comment section if you have any doubts. Okay. Nationalize. Actually, this was a renaming. You can call it as a nationalization. Just a minute. This Imperial Bank of India got nationalized in 1935. Now, what is the meaning of nationalization? That means the particular bank has the authority or the share stake of Government of India, around 51 share stake of Government of India, and 49 share stake of the private entity. Okay, so this is a story of State Bank of India, and before 1935, this particular bank also worked as a apex bank, or you can call it as a central bank. Clear? Okay. Moving to the next part, guys. I hope so. This story is done. So this was a acha. Eventually, we have a some separated bank apart from Presidency Bank. Also, we have like the Bank of Allahabad. Just a minute. Yes. Apart from Imperial Bank, we also had some banks. For example, Bank of Allahabad, which is still exist. Bank of Allahabad. This particular bank was established in 1865, and it was the India It was the first Indian owned bank. First Indian owned bank. So this particular bank also established during 1865. Okay. Then after, PNB or Punjab National Bank still exists, right? This particular bank was established in 1894 in a Punjab area, and it was the second Indian owned bank, which are not unsuccessful, which actually worked, right? Then after, uh, PNB was initially it was established in Lahore part, right? In a Lahore, because that time there was no segregation. Now, then after, the Bank of India still exists. Bank of India, established in 1906, established in Mumbai. These banks were also established in a different part, and this is also a third Indian owned bank. Indian owned bank. Okay, so this is a part of basically there was a part of Swadeshi movement, and these banks are the results of that Swadeshi movement. Okay, after the Swadeshi movement, there's a lot of banks actually established. For example, Bank of Baroda, it was established in 1908, the Vadodara, Gujarat part. There was a Central Bank of India. It was established in 1911 in Mumbai. So can I write those bank? Okay, wait, I'm writing here. So after Swadeshi movement, there's a lot of bank established after the Swadeshi movement. The first bank I have told you, that is Central Bank of India. No need to learn the whole date. Central Bank of India. Right. Central Bank of India, this particular bank was established in 1911, Mumbai. Okay. Then after, Bank of Baroda. This particular bank was established in 1908, Vadodara, Gujarat. Okay. Then after, Canara Bank still exists. Canara Bank, established in 1906, headquarters in Mangalore. Mangalore is in Karnataka part. Indian Bank, again, it was established in parallel with this 1907 and established in Chennai. So basically, the North India and South India, or the both part, this is the oldest bank, the Allahabad Bank. Sorry, I have not mentioned that. Oldest Bank of India, which is still exist. Okay, so basically these banks are established in both part, the southern region as well as the northern region of India. Now, as we have a story of SBI, the State Bank of India. After some time, there's a story of RBI also came, but I'm just skipping that RBI story, because in our next lecture we have to cover the whole Reserve Bank of India. Okay, just for the sake of information, I'm mentioning it that on the recommendation of Hilton Young Committee, and India wants a particular controlling bank. India wants a apex or the central bank, so that each and every bank can align and follow the rules and regulation, right? Firstly, the Imperial Bank was some important banks suggested that Imperial Bank should be act as a central bank, but the SBI denied this part, and after the recommendation of Hilton Young Committee, we'll finally have the RBI or the Reserve Bank of India. Okay, so I'm skipping this RBI part due to the monetary policy class. Okay, now let's talk about, so this is a history of the banking part. This is a history again. Now let's talk about the important types of bank. Okay, see, the type of bank, basically the banks which are introduced in the second schedule of RBI Act 1935 or 34, sorry, it is always termed as a proper bank, we can call it, right? Otherwise, in all India, the banks are categorized into two major categories. First is scheduled bank, second is non-scheduled bank. Development bank suggestion was very later. Okay, you can cancel it for now. So the type of bank is divided into two parts. First is scheduled bank, second is non-scheduled bank. So when RBI formed, there was a some systematic procedure, the rules, the regulation indulge. Okay, and depending on the RBI part, scheduled banks are those banks which are mentioned in second schedule of RBI Act 1934 are termed as scheduled bank. Okay, non-scheduled banks which are not mentioned, this is the only definition of non-scheduled bank. These are basically those banks which are not mentioned in RBI Act 1934 are termed as non-scheduled bank. Clear, everyone? Right. Now, the scheduled banks, there's another criteria we can use for the scheduled bank as well. So, the banks which have a paid up capital of rupees 5 lakh or more will be termed as, that time only, will be termed as the scheduled bank. Okay, and RBI will give the loan to those banks who have the paid up capital of rupees 5 lakh, and RBI will not entertain the non-scheduled banks as they doesn't have the 5 lakh paid up capital. Clear? Now, this scheduled banks are further divided. This is a basic classification, no need to dive in this particular part, this is not so much important. See, there is a further classification of scheduled bank only. The scheduled banks which are mentioned in schedule second of RBI Act 1934 will be termed as scheduled bank. Clear? These scheduled banks are classified into two major parts. The first is commercial bank and the second is cooperative bank. Now the commercial banks are further divided, we can say the commercial bank, public sector bank, private bank, foreign banks, RRBs, regional rural bank. Okay, clear? Sometimes it is urban cooperative banks are also mentioned here. Okay, okay. Anyone having any idea regarding the non-scheduled bank example? Are non-scheduled banks are exist? Any examples of non-scheduled bank? Any? No, okay. I'm just giving an example, that's all. The non-scheduled bank example is Akhand Anand. Cooperative Bank Limited is a non-scheduled bank example, right? Apart from this, Alavi Cooperative Bank Limited. Alavi Cooperative Bank Limited. It is also termed as an example of non-scheduled bank. Clear? Everyone, clear? Okay. Okay. Now, moving to the commercial bank part. I hope so. It is, the thread is completely clear. Okay. Now, let's talk about, just a minute. I'm taking your doubt. Just give me a minute. No, not at present. That time. Because those banks are scheduled schedule, basically mentioned in a schedule RBI Act 1934. So that time or during 1934, their paid up capital should be more than 5 lakh, not for today's part. Okay. Okay. So so now let's talk about the commercial bank. So commercial bank, again, the definition would be same for the schedule bank as like the bank which are mentioned in second schedule of RBI Act 1934 are mentioned or termed as paid up capital is the huge amount which should be as a, so in a basic language I can tell you, like to start any startup, there's a one huge amount you have to invest, right? That amount is termed as, in a case of bank, is paid up capital. Some cooperative banks are termed as schedule bank. Okay, any doubts? Now let's talk about the public sector bank first of all. Now, what is public sector bank? I'm just coming, sorry, doubts are not here. uh, it's around 200 crore. Okay, see here. Now public sector bank, basically the banks which has the government of India maximum stake will be termed as the public sector bank. Actually, when the banks are starting or when the banks are formed, there's no issue. Okay, soon or day by day, by the years, the different kind of banks are establishing. But now the main concern was that the public of India was not going to invest or deposit their money in a banks. Rather they deposit in a bank, they used to dig in a earth part. Okay, so because of that part, the Indira Gandhi government suggested, if you indulge the government share stake in a banking part, in a banking system, that might be the public of India can trust in your bank and start depositing their money in a banks as well, right? So for that particular reason, we nationalized the existing banks actually. And in an initial time, we had two major nationalizations. uh, See, sometime there's a different segregation of cooperative limited. This will be termed as a non-scheduled bank or the cooperative bank separately. Some banks are also, if they are particular assigning in a particular area or the district part, they can also indulge in a schedule. The RBI Act 1934 will be termed as cooperative bank as well. If you will give me some time, I will explain this, then after switch to the cooperatives. Acha, clear. Okay. Okay, so for that part, we actually nationalized bank, and the nationalization was started in the year after your independence, 1949. Okay, the first nationalization, I'm just taking a different part because of this public sector government stake. See here. So why nationalization conducted? I have already told you. Okay. Now the first, we had only two nationalization. The first nationalizations occurred in the year 1969, or here we can memorize the date, 1st July 1969. Okay, the government of India called that those banks whose paid up capital, now we are talking about nationalization, not the schedule, paid up capital is above 50 crores, you'll have the chance of nationalization. That time, around 14 banks came whose paid up capital was 50 crores, and they got the nationalization in the first phase, that is in 1969. Okay, the second nationalization occurred on 15th April 1980. Around the government of India called and asked the banks which have the paid up capital of around 200 crore have the chance to nationalize. Okay, and around that time, or in our second phase 1980, around 6 bank got nationalization. So finally after 1980 we have around 20 banks nationalized. Now what is the meaning of nationalization? The nationalization's meaning is 51 share stake of government of India, or you can call it as a maximum share stake of government of India, and minimum share stake is the private entity. This is the meaning of nationalization. Clear? Clear? Okay, now come to that chart. So public sector banks, those banks which got the government of India has the maximum share stake, that means the nationalized bank, you can call it, will be termed as public sector bank. These banks are also listed in stock exchange, will be termed as public sector banks. Clear? Okay, for example SBI, for example Allahabad Bank, for example Indian Overseas Bank, for example Canara Bank, the Central Bank, Bank of Maharashtra, these banks are usually termed as the public sector bank. These banks are indulge in a normal business process of banking, for example accepting a money deposit, also giving a withdrawal, giving you a loan, the locker process, the ATM process, passbook process. So these are the general banking business. They are indulged, are termed as public sector bank. Clear, everyone? Now earlier we have already we have to study the State Bank of India story, because there's a lot of subsidiaries we can see of a State Bank of India, but now the subsidiaries of SBI is not exist, so there's no need to cover the subsidiaries, right? Now moving to the next part, that is your private sector bank. So the majority of shares, basically those banks, their majority share for the in the hand of any private entity rather than government entity, right, will be termed as private sector bank. Okay, private sector bank treated as a banking company defined in the Banking Regulation Act 1949. So sometime they can ask you a question of act, so they are mentioned in a Banking Regulation Act 1949. In a winter session recently, the Lok Sabha also introduced the Banking Regulation Act 2024, right? I think tomorrow, yesterday's news. Okay, so private banks are considered as a private bank when they indulge or mention in a Banking Regulation Act 1949. They are considered as private bank. Okay, clear? Now some example. For examples, ICICI, HDFC, these are the major, or I guess these are the apex bank in a private sector, we can call it, right? So the correct answer is, sorry. So basically this is the criteria. Now There are around, in India, there are 22 public sector banks, private sector bank, and 12 banks are public sector bank, considerably. Ma'am does all 12, 12 public, ma'am does all the 20 banks. No. See, there's a one nationalization which was occurred in 1969. Their paid up capital was 50 crores. No need, there was not meant to increase that paid up capital. The second phase when came, they mentioned that if a bank's paid up capital is 200 crore, in that case they can be nationalized. So only 6 bank that time, 6 bank has the paid up capital of around 200 crore. Clear? Huh? Everyone? Getting my point or not? After 1930, because nationalization conducted in 2 phases. Okay, so if you're asking me, after 1969, only 14 banks. After 1980, 6 nationalized banks. So, okay. Done? Done? Okay. Now, come to the foreign banks. So, basically, some banks of outside the India got the approval to start their operation in India as a branch. That means a foreign bank is considered as a foreign bank when their headquarters should be established outside India and their branch is operating in India. Is considered as foreign bank. For example, Citibank, for example, exactly. For example, Citibank, for example, this Standard Chartered Bank, right? HSBC Bank, these are the foreign banks. After merging of subsidiaries bank of SBI. See, there's a lot of merger even conducted in 2008 also. So I'm coming on that point. Apart from this, the public sector bank 12. Okay. Okay. Now, RRBs, I'm coming on that. First of all, the cooperative banks. So basically, there's no need to dive into the chapter. But yes, cooperative banks are those banks which are established as per the law, as per the cooperatives law. Right? They are restricted to operate in designated area. Designated area or a restricted area only they can operate, right? Usually they worked on the no profit no loss principle. They also indulge in the depositing, withdrawal, a simple business, banking business part, right? The first cooperative bank was Anonya Sehkari Bank, which was founded in 1989, Gujarat. Sehkari Bank. Okay. Okay. Now, moving to the next part, and your next part is RRBs, or basically Regional Rulers Bank. Okay. So, the Regional Rulers Banks are actually established. Okay. Let's consider it first. Just a minute, guys. See, they are involved, or we can call it as they are mentioned in RBI Act 1934, but as SBI can open their branches in any part of India, right? But the cooperative bank could not open, because these cooperative banks are meant to give their service in a restricted or in a particular area. So they are scheduled commercial bank, but not what you have asked, but not a private bank. They will consider as a government bank. Okay, now the RRBs. Okay, so RRBs, again, there's a one act is very important in a case of RRBs, and the act was RRB Act 1976, Regional Rural Bank Act 1976. This is the act, like RBI Act 1934. This is the RRB Act 1976. So if the bank is established on under the RRB Act 1975, it will be termed as RRB. Usually, the first RRB was established in 1975. So, in a urban area, we are basically the bank system is giving their service, but still the rural person or the rural public still cannot access the banking service, right? So to cater the rural janta, or to cater the rural public, the government of India again initiated these RRBs especially. Okay, and these are, again, mind my word, these are the government owned scheduled commercial banks. Government owned scheduled commercial bank. Why I have write it here? Because they are also indulged in a RBI Act 1934 Schedule 2nd, but their operation will be handled as per the RBI Act 1976. Clear, everyone? Right, now there's a contribution, or we can say the equity of RRB is very important, because small finance bank is completely different part. I'm coming on that also. Now the RRBs are different in the equity share. As you have seen in a public sector, in a private sector, you have seen there's a two equity, one in a hand of government of India, and second in a hand of private entity, right? But in a case of RRBs, the equity is divided into three sponsors party. First is central government. Central government. Then after sponsor bank and state government are also indulged in a RRB part. Okay, they have a ratio around 50 central government, 50%. Okay, sponsor bank 15, government of state 35. This is the ratio contribution to equity. This is very important. This ratio is very important. 50 ratio 15 ratio 35. Central, sponsor bank or state government. This is the equity share in the RRBs. This is very important. Clear? Done? Okay. So basically, this is the criteria for the schedule bank only. Okay, I'm not coming on the non-schedule part because this is a further very huge classification, and I will complete this chart in your next class. Okay, apart from this, there's a small finance bank, okay, who was asking Jivika. Okay, so we have a small finance bank, we have a payment bank, local area banks. These banks are especially important. Just for your information, small finance bank was established under the Companies Act of 2030. Okay, AU Small Finance Bank, Equitas, Ujjivan Small Finance Bank. These are the small finance bank. Okay. Then after we'll have a payment bank. Payment bank. We have seen a payment bank Act 2015. Okay. Local area bank. These are old bank with the Act of 1996 something. So there's a part of schedule bank only we have covered. The nationalization we have covered. The history of banking sector we have covered, right? And in your next class, we will consider the payment bank, the small finance bank, and some major part of non-schedule. Because in a non-schedule, the classification is huge, but our point of exam point of view, the development bank is very important. Small finance and payment banks are majorly important as comparison to these local area banks. Okay, any issues right now? Got the chapter clearly? We will also see the merger of various bank. Okay, like the Allahabad Bank merged with Indian Bank, Andhra Bank and Cooperation Bank were merged with Union Bank of India. So we will see the recent bank merger also in your next class. Total number of RRB is 43. See, total number of public sector 12, private sector around 22, RRBs 43. Okay, foreign bank around 46. 46. Okay, payment bank, I guess we have 4 payment bank, but I'm not confirming it. Okay, and a small finance bank around 11 small finance bank. Okay, clear? Okay, so here we have completed this session, everyone. I hope so you like the session. If you like the session, don't forget to give a feedback. Thank you so much. We'll meet you in the next class and we'll discuss the non-scheduled bank classification. Bye-bye. Take care. Keep preparing. Keep revising your content. Bye and thank you.